Have you folks decided on who your accreditation manager is going to be to help you through this process?
I think that'll be me.
Well,
It's a big job. I would suggest, Keith, that when you're looking at this, that really it should be somebody that can work on it full time. When we had our department do it, you get the person that's the most, I guess, obsessive compulsive with the details as possible, and somebody who's really good with paperwork, because it is a full-time job. And when we did it with the police department, and we did put an officer on special assignment, and it was a ranking member, like a lieutenant, who has some authority that can go in and actually go to the commanders or to the staff and say, I need you to do this, and they're actually speaking on your behalf. So I don't know whether or not the resources exist for that or not in your division or not.
well, we're looking at that, and we are going to put together a team. We're going to take advantage of Maui Police
Good.
Department's invitation to come and see their accreditation process.
Yes.
And learn from them
Yes.
and Honolulu Police Department.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely. And if there's anything I can do with it, although I was a commander and I wasn't involved on the back end in terms of having to, beat the whip to get the guys to turn in their work. That's the biggest struggle, is to getting everybody to buy in from the top down. And it's great that you're buying into this. Now, Sheriff's Division is one aspect of public safety. Are there other divisions besides sheriffs in public safety?
In law enforcement, we have two, actually 2.5. We have the Sheriff Division, the Narcotic Enforcement Division, and we also have an Internal Affairs Division. The Narcotic Enforcement Division, which I was a part of for over 25 years, is similar to the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration. They have the same concurrent jurisdiction. They handle all the controlled substances here in Hawaii, regulated chemicals, and we have an added. We also handle medical marijuana. But under the Narcotic Enforcement Division, we also train all the other counties with clandestine laboratory investigations. We're the pharmaceutical drug experts here in Hawaii.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
So we've been around quite a bit, like the sheriffs. We came from another agency, merged with public safety the same time as the sheriffs, and I think it's a nice marriage. With us and the sheriffs together, we do have a forensic drug laboratory. We do all our own drug analysis and for the sheriffs, and we also assist the other county agencies if they need.
Now, do you folks actually do criminal investigations or as a role?
No, actually, for us, once it becomes a felony, we'll pass that off to the county PDs, because we don't have the support organizations in place. For instance, the evidence gathering and the testing. Of course, NED will do the drugs, but we just don't have the expertise at this point and the logistics to handle those type of cases. We will do misdemeanor follow-ups, and we work in conjunction with our task forces, where we have deputies that are doing criminal investigations, but that's in conjunction with our task force members.
How does that work with the accreditation? Is that a requirement that they would have to move into doing some levels of investigation? I haven't looked at the standard in years, and I don't know what the...
I think in Kalia, there is a module that we'll have to answer what type of investigation, and we will have to make our policies similar to that of the police departments, how we do our investigation, especially how we handle evidence. Our NED lab is presently going through accreditation process right now. So once that is accredited, I think it'll make it much easier for Kalia when we try on the other side of the house.
Great. Well, I hope that with the future of the department, if you folks are looking at maybe taking on a greater role, obviously it's going to take the investment not only of the taxpayers of having to do that, but being able to provide better public safety, better public service, I think is what you folks want. That's certainly what I want, and I want to make sure that we at the legislature can support you in any way we can. And I think it's great that you folks came in today, because I think a lot of people are like, well, what are the sheriffs, and they think of cowboy westerns, the sheriff and coming down and catching bad guys and shooting people at noon and all that kind of stuff. And and you folks have been around for a long time. Vehicles and supplies and all those things is all things that you apply for with federal grants as well outside, or are you totally just dependent upon the legislature in terms of equipment funding?
Most of the funding comes from the legislature and the state of Hawaii. We have some Homeland Security grant funding that we've used for vehicles and equipment. And also we've had our federal agencies actually give us vehicles and equipment because of the great job that our deputies are doing with them. But most all of it comes from the federal, the state of Hawaii, and also special funding like for the airport section.
For the airport section?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about temporary restraining orders? Is that something that you folks get involved in as well, or is it?
Well, if we know that an individual has a TRO, we'll apprehend that person and have PD serve the TRO. We can most certainly serve the TRO, but a lot of times, depending on the TRO, PD actually wants to do the service of the TRO.
Okay.
So we'll detain the individual for PD. And that goes to the CALEA and where we want to take the division. You know, we want to add value to our support to the counties. And once again, be a standard policy-driven organization and develop those building blocks to become a better partner in how we service the county PDs and our federal partners.
Keith, what is the requirement to be a sheriff here, or deputy sheriff? Is it deputy sheriff?
Deputy sheriff.
Deputy sheriff. You know, it seems as though, I don't know, I've never really seen any announcements for position openings, and at least on the Maui News side of the house, but is it something that you guys do in ongoing recruiting? What is your...
Right now, we do have an ongoing recruiting. We are looking at right now about 19 new deputies that we have newly hired and are going to be starting on April 11th. I guess we'll start their training.
Okay.
Usually a deputy sheriff, and correct me if I'm wrong, they must have, the minimum is a high school diploma. And
it's actually, we'll take a GED as long as he's passed. He has to be 21 or over. He has to be able to own a firearm and be licensed for a firearm. No criminal record to include any felonies or assaults, and no drug arrests.
Okay.
That's the minimum standard.
Yeah. We always want, if they have a college degree or a specialty, that's always a plus for us. And it helps them later if they're trying to further their careers into management, into supervisory positions, or in investigations.
Sure.
The challenge for us, Representative Fontaine, is actually we get great applicants.
That's right.
The challenge for us is because we have a limited functional area. They get so excited in doing law enforcement that they actually leave us. And that's fine, but we've had many deputies leave for county law enforcement agencies, mainland law enforcement agencies, federal law enforcement agencies. So they get a taste of law enforcement, they love it. They realize that we don't have the breadth of functional areas like the county PDs do, and they leave us. And that is our challenge, because as soon as we hire them, we get several that'll leave from the back end, and we've always faced that.
Well, let's talk about another big reason for that is the pay disparity. You folks
Correct.
are not being, I mean, police, SHOPO, you know, has their own bargaining unit.
Correct.
Now we had some legislation that went through that will hopefully set you guys out from the HGA and try to put you on par in terms of pay-wise. You know, of course, this is not probably the best timing of this with the economy the way it is, but I mean, you folks are obviously, you know, you do put your life on the line. I mean, you're not necessarily first responding in terms of calls. There could be a call here at the Capitol or an issue at the airport. I mean, you folks are serving a law enforcement role, and there should be some parity, I personally feel, that the pay. And I can see why, you know, somebody gets the foothold of becoming a deputy sheriff, and then an opening comes up on HPD or Maui Police, and, you know, the pay is, I think, pretty substantially different.
Right.
I don't know how a entry-level officer can make it. What is the recruit?
Actually, the recruits
policy?
are barely making what I remember seeing something in the news one day that you have to make $17 an hour in Hawaii to have a family and to be able to live, and our recruits are making just barely above that.
Wow.
And that is a fundamental issue that we would like to work on, and we are working on, because there is a bill to remove us from Unit 3 in HGA, put us in a law enforcement unit within HGA. Unit 3 are the clerks. And the challenge for us is that our deputies, in the scope of their duties, are exposed to far more risk, health risk. You know, you've worked in a cell block, you know, no clerk is exposed to HIV and that type of thing. And so what we're trying to do is say, hey, we're not really looking at a raise now, but we need a bargaining unit that'll address the law enforcement needs specific to law enforcement and not to the clerks. So that's what we're trying to push.
Simple things like the need for a bulletproof vest, the need for weapons allowance, cleaning if supplies, where
Exactly.
a clerk would never need that.
Yeah, exactly. And the training obviously
Yes.
is a long process to go through all of that. Well, it's been really exciting to have you guys on the show tonight. I think the public learned quite a bit about what your mission and role is. Keith, love to have you and you to come back on again and talk more. I think we covered a lot tonight, but I'd like to maybe go into especially the narcotics side of the house with the division. Keith, if you'd like to come and show our
Sure,
audience.
we'll come and bring you and show you some of the drugs that we're having problems with here in Hawaii.
Well, I know one of the ones that you talked about and I heard testimony on was this new issue with the bath salts.
Right.
So, you know, we're not going to really have a chance to get into it much tonight, but this is, I guess, becoming an ongoing problem with this, and we're trying to make that illegal and hopefully stop that whole tide of yet another substance people put in their bodies to get intoxicated.
I'd love to come and educate you guys.
All right. Well, finally, folks, tonight we actually got a letter from the Fontaine Factor that I wanted to cover. Let's see here. This is from Miss Smart from Miolani, and she says that Bishop Silva didn't mention the Mary Jane Center that coordinated through Catholic Charities, and I guess she was a little surprised. I can't read the whole letter this evening. I just don't have time. It was quite lengthy, and thank you, Miss Smart, for writing in and pointing out that issue that the bishop failed to mention. But if you go to www.catholiccharities.hawaii.org, there's a whole information about the Mary Jane program, and it offers pregnant women, their partners, and the families a variety of services to assist with unplanned pregnancies. And the goal of Mary Jane program is to help people make the best decision for themselves, the child, and the challenges of living with their decision. So this is a great piece of information that Ms. Smart decided to share with us. We encourage you to write in. Please write to repfontaine@capital.hawaii.gov. That's repfontaine@capital.hawaii.gov. When writing in, please include your full name and the city and town that you're writing from. It's very important. And if you can, try to keep, I guess, it down to a paragraph or two. What do they say? Pithy. With your comments, so that we can put your whole letter online and let people read it. And I encourage you to write. Let us know how we're doing. We're trying hard to provide a variety of different kinds of shows for you. So if you have show suggestions, we would love to hear that as well too. So again, thank you again for watching The Fontaine Factor.